so far, but I can't lose this.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker, the future is feeling.
To be the best, one must beat the best. Ovals, road courses, the streets of iconic cities, race after race, the top sim racing IndyCar stars will battle it out. In sim racing, it doesn't get any better than this. This is their battleground, for the checkered flag, for the glory, for the right to say they are the best. The cars and stars of the Lionheart IndyCar Series, presented by Butt Kicker, are ready to race.
The month of May has ended, and while history was written this past weekend in Speedway, Indiana, the Lionheart Racing Series heads into the month of June with Back Home Again in Indiana on repeat. Before we head to the Brickyard for the first Triple Crown event in the Lionheart IndyCar Series, first, the drivers must conquer the challenge of the Worldwide Technology Raceway here in the Astro Racing Channel 200, presented by SimSnap Photography. Hello and welcome back to RaceSpot TV and coverage of the Lionheart Racing Series, powered by HyperX, makers of premier gaming gear like the legendary ultra-comfortable Cloud line of gaming headsets. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows that we're all gamers. For more information on HyperX products, visit hyperxgaming.com and don't forget to use the promo code Lionheart15, that's LIONHRT15 for 15% off all orders. My name is Arjuna Kankipati and delighted to be alongside Justin Prince once more for today's coverage. TV cameras are provided by Istvan Ballo and TrackCams22.com, with additional car cameras provided by RaceBot's own Tyler Maxson. You can follow along with live timing and scoring by heading to timing71.org to follow along with your favorite team and drivers in the real and virtual world of motorsport. Let's dive straight into our pre-show presented by Buttkicker. And Justin, the month of May has come to a close, and while the Lionheart King Adam Blocker has found himself trackside at the Brickyard for 3 consecutive weeks in his role with Ilmore Engineering, he has somehow found a way to extend his championship advantage in his quest for a 4th straight title.
It's absolutely incredible, to say the very least, the effort he's been able to put in over the past few weeks while managing his real-world obligations, to be able to find sim rigs to be able to run with, while being able to do those duties, while having minimal time with practice to still put up the consistent numbers that are needed to run for a championship. It's absolutely incredible, to say the very least, what Adam Blocker has done so far, and there's a reason he's grown that. With that consistency, you need to be able to do so to have a chance at the title, and he was able to do that in uncomfortable surroundings in some cases, and different surroundings compared to his usual setup.
He is now back home, so that will be a comfort to him, I'm sure, as we head into the month of June. And of course, the month of May synonymous with a trip to Speedway Indiana. But the first Triple Crown event, Justin, is on the horizon at the end of this month. In just a couple of weeks' time, we'll head to the Brickyard to get to the Indy GP in just a couple of weeks. Looking forward to that race as well. But here on the short track at Gateway, excited to see exactly what happens here. Not for the first time, we go short track racing in 2021.
It's a track that brings different kinds of racing compared to earlier this season, because you have 2 different types of corners at the end of the speedway. You have the tight camber of 1 and 2 and the much wider and flatter 3 and 4. Drivers are going to be busy throughout the night trying to adapt to the changing track conditions in the aero wash and trying to make sure they adapt to where they're at if they want to try and move their way to the field throughout the evening.
I tell you what, let's start working our way through some of these standings, because it's an exciting time to take a look here as we work our way into the summer and really the meat of the season as well. You can already see the gap now that Adam Blocker has over the private label Team Hype duo of Connor Harrington and Joshua Chin is almost upwards of 60 points at this point in time, but the rookies have started to fall off the field. Only Henry Bennett, Jason Brophy, and Lionel Calista left in the top 10. And once more, Justin, we are presented by the site of Adrenaline Motorsports and private label Team Hype dominating the top 10 in this championship.
They've definitely had the speed as organizations throughout the campaign. Private label Team Hype, of course, had the pace in the last round with Joshua Chin in particular to be able to pull away with that checkered flag in that round to be able to secure their victory for that organization. But the main thing has been these drivers have qualified well, they've ran well, they've nailed the strategy well throughout the race. And in regards to private label Team Hype, they've been not afraid to take risks, Arjuna, and that's why in some cases you've seen them up towards the top of the running order and in turn get some valuable points.
And I had mentioned this to you before we came on air, Justin. For Connor Harrington, he's been very strong on the ovals. Adam Blocker has got 167 of his points on the ovals. Connor Harrington, 165 oval points on the season. In comparison, he's struggled a bit more for consistency on the road courses, 60 points adrift, and that's where the majority of the gap has formed to Adam Blocker. These championship standings presented by Buttkicker, and let's take a look at the team standings presented by HyperX. And while private label Team Hype sit in 2nd and 3rd positions in the Drivers' Championship, as a result of their consistency over the season, Justin, they have a more than 100-point advantage over Adrenaline Motorsports Red. But the Red outfit with 2 Canadians and Henry Bennett in the 3-car team, they are starting to look stronger and stronger here as we head to the Gateway track.
They're starting to pick up more momentum as the season's gone on, absolutely. And as well, Graphics LPM have also been able to do the same thing with 505 points in the season, slowly gaining themselves momentum to join the championship scrap for the team standings. It's been intriguing to see those organizations be able to take the risks they have and have the pace they've had throughout the season. And in particular tonight, I wouldn't be surprised to see drivers from those top 3 organizations amongst your front runners by the checkered flag.
Still close battles between Sector 5 and Alcantech for 4th and 5th, and even Synergy and Sim Racing Merch Esports for 6th and 7th. So lots of intrigue here in these team championships. And I mentioned the rookies slightly earlier when we were talking about the driver standings. Look at these rookie championships presented by Buttkicker once more. And for Bennett versus Brophy, they've been very close. But as we head back to the ovals where Brophy is a little bit stronger in comparison to his road pace, Justin, I think we are going to see a very strong performance out of Jason Brophy here tonight.
I think so as well, because Brophy definitely has the oval chops when it comes to being able to perform on these types of racetracks. He knows how to qualify well. He knows how to drive on the ovals. The road courses are his Achilles heel. Compare that to Henry Bennett. And Bennett is known for being very quick on the road courses, but is also a very solid oval racer. Both of those drivers have different types of skill sets, but they execute them in different ways in turn that has seen them to where they're at. Don't forget about Lionel Callisto, though. He's only a few points back of Brophy as well. And Mike Rasmus, he's had consistency in a lot of these races. It's just a matter of luck going his direction, Arjuna.
And I think at a race like this, luck is very much going to be needed to make your way into victory lane if that is what you have in mind. Take a look at these series details presented by Minus 273, the premier name in karting gloves. Their industry-leading gloves are super lightweight and durable, made of a breathable poly spandex. Whether you're a kart or a sim racer, Minus 273 gives you the control to reach victory lane. For more information on Minus 273's full line of gloves and apparel, visit minus273.biz, and don't forget to use the promo code minus273LHRS15 for 15% off all orders. And I'm so excited, Justin. We are only 3 weeks away from that first Triple Crown race of the season and heading to the Brickyard. We saw some incredible action throughout not just the real month of May, but also here on the virtual side of things. You and I got to commentate on both the fixed setup and the open setup Indy 500. Can't wait to see what's in store for us on June 27th.
I can't wait to see either. And a lot of the drivers who run in this series were contenders in both the fixed and open Indy 500s and put in a lot of work to try and prepare themselves for those races. In turn, I think that preparation is going to be very valuable for the Triple Crowns here for this season for the Lionheart IndyCar Series. It's been exciting to say the very least so far this campaign, but it's the matter, though, of getting some momentum before you head off into those Triple Crowns starting tonight.
And of course, I think that Triple Crown will be the first of our races on a weekend as well to accommodate the extended length as we head to Speedway, Indiana, and to 16th Street as well. So very excited about our trip to the Brickyard upcoming later this month. Here, though, is the 7th trip to the Gateway track in 9 years of the Lionheart IndyCar Series. The first event back in Season 2, and this track has been a fixture since Season 4 on this IndyCar schedule. 3 Adrenaline Motorsports drivers have won at Gateway previously. They include Joe Branch in Season 5, Christopher in Season 6, and then Andrew Kinsella in Season 7. The most recent race winner, though, was Sage Karaman. We didn't know if we were going to see Karaman in action here today after a very busy month of May of his own in the real world, Justin, but here he is once more looking to become a Lionheart champion.
And a great performance in the real world Indianapolis 500-mile race to boot as well, making his way from the back of the field to the top 10 to close things out. He got some great shoutouts during the broadcast as well. He ended up putting up a stellar performance for him as an organization in the Indianapolis 500. I wouldn't be surprised to see him have a stellar performance here tonight, as he is very quick when it comes to the ovals. Qualifying has been his Achilles heel, though. If he can improve on the qualifying for tonight and start up towards the front, I wouldn't be surprised to see Karam try and defend early and be able to try and pull away.
Well, the great thing about having our series organizer and race control, George Anzaldo, in the YouTube chat, I've just got the update that he'll be starting from the tail end of the field with an end-of-line penalty he has yet to serve with all of his duties in the real world. Career best finish in the Indianapolis 500, 7th place, besting 9th on debut all those years ago. He didn't know if he was going to be in action this past month of May, and managed to get the deal done in time to drive the AES Indiana Dallara IR18 for Dreyer and Reinbold. Take a look, though, at the 1.25-mile worldwide technology raceway. It's named like that for licensing and partnership reasons. We'll call it Gateway more often than not. And like you were talking about, Justin, the two ends of the racetrack are totally different. And like we saw in the Lionheart Speedway Series just a couple of weeks ago, it will be very interesting to see how drivers take to this track.
11 degrees in turns 1 to 2 for the banking, 9 degrees in turns 3 and 4, but much more wider of a camber to be able to run. And in many cases, drivers will try and make moves in turns 3 and 4 tonight. If they don't make the pass there, they'll likely get some speed down the front straightaway to try and make the move by turns 1 and 2. The reason is many different drivers have made mistakes. The Speedway Series in particular I'm referring to in 1 and 2. With the in-car tools, it's going to be very busy to try to adapt to the dirty air in that section of the racetrack and the aero wash to make sure you don't wash up into the wall and become a victim to the outside fence.
So qualifying works its way through, almost halfway done as well, with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left on that qualifying clock. You get 2 laps and the track to yourself to set your fastest lap time. And a track like this where passing is going to be so difficult, you'd assume that drivers would have practiced some qualifying runs. Smaller field tonight, so we might see some longer green flag runs. And as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, it's Damon Martinez with provisional pole, waiting to see where some of the big names here, Justin, start to shake themselves out. We look as Adam Blocker comes towards turn number 4.
And he had the fastest time in practice with a 25.662. The question is, can he keep it up for qualifying? Yes, he can. A 25.728. That puts him at the top of the board. Very smooth and consistent here in qualifying. The question is, how will drivers like Joshua Chin now respond on the board?
So now he comes down the back straightaway, I believe, on his first flying lap time. And there you can see it's a 22nd and counting as out through turn 4 all the way to the outside wall. The King of Chins comes. Actually, he's going to slow that car down, I think, reset back onto pit road. He will get one more opportunity here, Justin, before the King of Chins with 90 seconds left. The pressure is on.
I don't think he liked that lead up to that lap because he started washing up the track a lot in turn 3 and 4. Compare that to where Jason Brophy was. He didn't really wash too much up on the lead up here, and you're going to see turn 1 and 2. It's going to be very critical. Some drivers take it a little bit lower than others, try and maximize the speed. A lot of them in qualifying, though, end up running about a half a lane to 3/4 of a lane up in 1 and 2, then try and round the bottom of the racetrack in 3 and 4. And similar to Joshua Chin, Brophy is now washing up into the wall.
And you could see there, it didn't look like that car was compliant at all as he tried to run the shortest line. So Jason Brophy will start from the tail end. He won't have enough time to reset for another qualifying run. So we'll watch then for the private label Team Hype machine. Connor Harrington qualified in 5th. It's important then for Joshua Chin to make his way into the top 10. A 25.877 just about gets him there up in through 8th, but not such a good start here in qualifying then for the private label Team Hype machine.
And you can see Jason Brophy, at the very least, is going to take some time to be able to adjust here. But as we talked about, not enough time for him to set an narrow lap here in qualifying. He's going to be among 4 drivers who will not be able to set qualifying times here this session.
Oh, and that is such a shame, Justin. With just a few moments left, what are your expectations here for this race here today?
My expectations are a lot of longer runs, but strategy is going to be very critical when it comes to this race for tonight. It's going to be critical to try and make sure you hit your fuel marks, make sure you keep your car clean, and make sure you don't make major mistakes, Arjuna.
Let's go trackside then here for round 7 in the Lionheart IndyCar Series, live from the Worldwide Technology Raceway. So on pole, Adam Blocker in his quest for a 4th consecutive title. He's back at home and comfortable with a 25.728, almost half a tenth quicker than Damon Martinez, who will line up on his outside. Aaron Morgan, very impressive, not just here in the IndyCars, but across at the Lionheart competitions, inside of Luis Gonzalez Nunez. Best qualifying performance there for the Necky Racing Team driver. Connor Harrington inside of Tyler Groff on row number 3. Relatively small 29-car grid, so expecting for these long green flag runs to mean track position is oh so important. Stefan Larkamp inside of Joshua Chin with Mike Rigney and Jay Brandt on the edge of the top 10. Jason Galvin, previous race winner this season, especially on the short tracks. What can he do rolling off from 11th with Christopher on his outside? Andrew Kinsella, Henry Bennett for Adrenaline Motorsports Red. What can they do from row 7? Adam Fraser, Scott Holmes on row number 8. Matt Taylor inside of the Canadian Brian Carey, who's nursing a few injuries, back in the rig for the first time in a while. Tony Showen, Joe Branch, more Adrenaline Motorsports rows on the edge then of the top 20 with Chris Fowler and Matt Houston, row number 11. Brian Greenlee slots into 23rd position alongside Ricky Harding for Sim Racing Merch Esports. With Ryan Otis, the Lionheart Retro Series champion in 2020. Lots of work to do then. The final car to set a qualifying lap time. He'll roll off in 25th. Callisto Brophy, they've been impressive so far this season. No time for them with Ryman and Karam lining up at the tail end of this field. This was the butt kicker starting grid. And Justin, the cars are ready to roll. What are you expecting? I asked you this before, but I want a prediction here for this race here today.
A prediction when it comes to who can come away with the checker flag. I think it's going to be a lot of back and forth between Blocker and Martinez, at least early on. Martinez, oval specialist, I expect him to be quick. But Adam Blocker, I wouldn't be surprised to see him try and dominate. I'm taking a bold prediction. I'm predicting he's going to try and take it from the pole tonight.
Let's see then how he can do. And I tell you what, I think we have just about enough time to quickly jump on board and work our way through a couple of the onboard cameras. Let's start with Ryan Otis, who's got the Asher Racing channel on board. Helmet on, visor down, focus activated from the tail end of the field.
With the HyperX on board, it's Joshua Chin. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows we're all gamers, and HyperX is always ready to game.
And, of course, 2 more onboards that we'll take a look at then once we get to the green flag action. But all of the 29 cars will have onboard looks here from the Worldwide Technology Raceway. Competition, commitment, excitement. This is Lionheart, and we are ready to go for round 7 in this championship. At the front, it is Adam Blocker once more. How easy will he have it today? He is back home for the first time in 3 weeks and looking to extend his championship advantage. Green flag flies in the Asher Racing Channel 200, presented by SimSnap Photography, and a wonderful launch down into turn number 1 for the defending series champion. Martinez has Morgan slipping down his inside. It's too wide, Justin, almost throughout the entire field. These cars work.
And already several drivers trying to get themselves sorted, try and get themselves into a line, and then try and get themselves to where they can battle already. Martinez been shuffled to 3rd, and several more drivers starting to drift up the racetrack. In fact, nearly up into the safer barrier was Larkamp.
And there you go. Oh, I love this camera view that will get down into turn number 1. Blocker scampers away, and the gaps are going to be very fluctuating here, I think, in the early stages. Track position is going to be oh so important. They're almost 3 wide coming off the corner, Justin.
And several drivers getting very tight coming off the corner right there, right up against the wall, in fact, in turn 2. And that's where the major danger zone can be here for tonight's action, is drivers carrying way too much speed there as the tires wear out. And now a bit of tire contact with Jay Brandt.
I think that was Stefan Larkamp in the old Alcantech NHR Esports machine. I don't know if Braun is going to have any significant damage there. The pink number 15 pulls to the inside of the track. There goes Bennett trying to get to the outside. And 2 Adrenaline Motorsports Red drivers that need to try and work their way up into the top 10 in this team championships will try and slip around the outside. It is fast and furious in the back of the pack. But Justin, the gap out front, already 1 full second.
And it continues to grow up in front, and that's the power of clean air and success and speed. 26.184 last time by for Blocker, quicker by more than 2/10. Blocker wanting to break this draft as quick as possible. Compared that to the Speedway Series where it was a lot of back and forth in the early stages on the fresher tires. An intriguing start to this one from Blocker.
And what I'm seeing kind of right now is that at the front it's single file, but you work through the field and cars able to get on the in-car tools and maybe try and make some positions. It's too wide, too deep with Brian Carey looking to the inside of Scott Holmes, but his teammate Tony Showen might try and take advantage down in towards turn number 3. Looks for a second, but nothing doing there. Let's talk about strategy very quickly, Justin. A 160-lap race that works out to 200 miles. The fuel stint is 45 laps, so we're basically looking at a guaranteed 3-stop affair.
Fairly simple strategy. Basically go 45, 90, and then make it to at least lap 115 to make it to the end on gas. So all you have to do is hit those marks when it comes to strategy, and you're good. The tough part is, 1, timing up when you come in with the draft and the effects with some of the side-by-side. But 2 is the access road. it's going to be a big spot where many different drivers will gain time and lose a ton of time if they end up going too slow on the access road or too quick on the access road. So in other words, tonight, you're going to need to be very careful down there.
Three wide, Justin, they are 3 wide, and Sage Karam is rocking his way up into the top 20 as well. Sorry to cut you off there, but this battle for 17th on back just continues to intensify, and you can already see as we come across the start-finish line, 1.3 seconds adrift of Scott Holmes. Sage Karam already up 7 positions, Justin, but 8 seconds behind the leader. He is in danger of going 1 lap down in the early stages here.
Watching that in the corner of my eye, and the main worry about that, Arjuna, though, at the same time is if they continue to fight like that 2-3 wide, they're going to continue to lose touch to the rest of the pack. They've already lost nearly 8 seconds to Scott Holmes in 17th position from this scrap. So in other words, you need to be smart when it comes to these position battles. Otherwise, you're going to continue to lose time. Karam seems to definitely have the pace. The problem is he's got nowhere to go but take it 3 wide again.
And that's what he does to the inside of Chris Fowler and Matt Houston. Houston is not going to be bullied out of this position, I think. Almost gets slid up into the wall. I think Fowler just about holds on with those green wheels, and it's Karam still looking down to the inside, and I'm sure full of confidence after this past weekend, Justin. He knows what it's like to rock and roll the Dallara IR18 in the real world, and into 21st position goes the Pennsylvania native.
Remember, he had to make his way for the very back of the field in the real-world Indianapolis 500-mile race, so he's got the ability to be able to cut his way through the field. He's done it several times, keep in mind, this season in Lionheart competition. The tough part of doing that here again is just timing up the passes right, because if you're side-by-side for too long, it can lose you a few tenths. Now that they're all worked single file, they can now try and work back to Scott Holmes. By the way, Adam Blocker, he's a man on a mission. He is absolutely flat out flying around the racetrack, already a second and a half ahead.
And I mean, I really do think, Justin, if we keep this green flag conditions up, Blocker is going to be right over the tail end of the cars at the tail end of the field in about just 12 more laps time, because Samuel Ryman is already 13 seconds adrift. We get this look through turn number 1 once more, and you can just see how single file the cars at the front of the field are. You have to go all the way back to about the edge of the top 10 right now, where Henry Bennett and his teammate Andrew Kinsella duking it out across the start-finish line.
And Kinsella, I think, feels like he's got the momentum. The problem is there's just not a lot of grip, and you have to lift off the throttle there at the bottom if you try to attack into turn 1. Jay Brandt, remember, was involved in that tire-to-tire contact, got away without any damage from that situation. He wants some positions back here.
I think at this point, though, we're very much seeing cars migrating their way up onto the outside line, so Kinsella able to defend, and Matt Taylor, who finished in second when the Speedway Series visited here just a couple of weeks ago in the Dallara DW12, tries to work on the back of the pink 15, and over-under, will it come down into turn number 3? No. Taylor's going to back this one off and think a little bit more about the long game. Since things are settling down, Justin, we didn't get much time to talk about some of our onboard looks. I think we should finish up the final 2 cameras here. So I'll start off with the butt kicker on board. We're riding on board with Stefan Larkamp. What you see and what you hear is what you feel. For more information, visit thebuttkicker.com.
The other onboard camera is Brian Carey tonight with the Clipping That Apex machine, your home for custom motorsports art. For more information, visit clippingthatapex.com.
I'm sure Carey's had a bit of an interesting view of all the action recently. Let's look rearwards from him, because I think you can't really see it, but Matt Houston and Lionel Kalisto, who you were saying, Justin, earlier on when we were talking about those championship standings, has been very impressive over the course of the season so far. He has mired another of the cars that wasn't able to set a qualifying lap time, back in 23rd position, trying to run away towards the front with Sage Karam.
And you can tell he wants to try and jump up the line. The problem is just where he's reaching some of the traffic again. Side by side, you need to clear by the corner entry into turn 1 to complete the pass here. And the tough thing is on the bottom, you can see just how squirrely it can get down there if you carry too much speed. And just like that, Ryan Oates takes advantage, and Kalisto again has to reset and try and regain some of those positions back. So it's just that simple of losing time.
There's so many names, Justin, down the tail end of this field as well. I mean, you have Sage Karam, Ryan Otis, Lionel Kalisto, Joe Brandt, Jason Brophy, all from 21st on back right now. Jason Brophy, after not setting that qualifying lap time, has actually fallen back in the field. It's only one spot, but he's only got one more spot further back to go, and that would be into last position, and I don't think that's what he wants to do. His teammate, though, is making moves, and Connor Harrington gets on past Luis Gonzalez Nunez.
And Harrington, one of the quickest cars on the racetrack right now, I think feels like he's got the pace, able to make the bold move into turn 1 that time. And you can see he doesn't want to give up the bottom as well here with this run. Wants to keep this position and try and focus on getting up to Martinez. Martinez has already built up a 1-second buffer from these two.
And Chin in the background will try and maybe get on past Nunez as well if the teammates can work together. They are very close, and great to see Nunez running so high. It's not been an easy campaign for him, not just here in the IndyCars, but in the Speedway Series as well, is very much been demonstrating the new damage model present on this Dallara IR18, but running up in the top 5, I'm sure he will be thrilled, Justin, with how this race has started. There is still a long way to go, and we are working our way towards the midway point of this first green flag stint.
Yeah, this stint has been flying by quickly here so far tonight, but Harrington needs to try and pick up the pace by at least about a 10th or 2 a lap to try and close up and get back to Martinez and Aaron Morgan. Give a shout out to Morgan. We've seen him have some strong performances in this series, Arjuna, on the road courses this year, as well as across in Lionheart competition. One of his best performances on a speedway so far ahead of this battle as we follow along with Chin.
I mean, and coming into the season, Justin, he's a relative rookie in this IndyCar series with just 8 starts prior to 2021. So great to see the continued development from Morgan, who has been very rapid in the Lionheart Retro Series as well. Very quick in the Lotus 79 and putting it on here in the Dallara IR18 as well. So working lap 22, in the left side of the screen you can see some of the movers and shakers. Big losers include the likes of Jay Brandt, still suffering with some sort of damage, I would suspect, and we'll have to see when we come to that pit stop window to see if the 15 spends a few more seconds stationary on pit lane. Larkamp in the 62 is also down 4. Big movers include the likes of Christopher, 4 spots up into the 8th position, along with Matt Taylor. Justin, I said that second place finish should have given him confidence in the Dallara DW12. He's carried that over to this Wednesday night.
He definitely has so far, as we see Morgan so far continue to just pulling away. With Morgan's last race, he picked up 8 positions in the standings. He is knocking on the doorstep of the top 10, just 5 points out entering the evening. So he's got a lot of momentum going his direction, especially with this performance. By the way, Sage Karam and company are still marred in all of this, where they continue to fight like cats and dogs to the back of the field.
I think clearly the answer is, Justin, we should stop paying attention to the gaps out front. Let's just focus on this. This is incredible. And you wouldn't think this is for 19th on back. It's Chris Fowler, Tony Shaw, and Sage Karam 19th through 21st. And it's Ryan Otis side by side with Lionel Kalisto. There are some huge names. Jason Brophy trying to sling a move to the inside at the tail end of the shot there, as you can see. This train of cars working their way down in towards turn number 3. And they are slowly being caught by Adam Blocker. I mean, consider Tony Shawan at 27.078 last time around, Justin. That is 4/10 slower than the race leader out there at the front of the field.
And that's in part because of the side-by-side with some of these competitors holding each other up and losing them time and not being able to carry the momentum off the corner with the side-by-side. From what I've seen so far, you want to be bottom in turn 3 to make a move, but almost on the top to be able to get the run off the corner just about, and pinch the driver below on down if you can keep it by apex. If you can make the move in through the bottom of the racetrack in turn 1 and 2, it's because you're just about clear of the driver underneath, or above you, I should rather say. Or they give you the space, allowing you to make the said move. So you have to think big picture here when it comes to some of these moves, and some of these drivers are just having that frustration of being bottlenecked. As Kalisto, a great job, power move on the bottom to right drive by Karam.
You know what I noticed there when I watched, though, Kalisto coming out of turn 4 is the load that he puts into that right rear tire. Karam sends it deep in through turn 1 to try and respond. I think Kalisto might just be able to hold on in through turn number 3, though, side by side as we ride on board with the Lionheart Retro Series champion. Great view of a battle for 21st and 22nd position. He thinks about making it 3 wide for a moment, and there you can see again, Justin, just how hard Kalisto is loading up that right rear tire.
Yeah, and that right rear, keep in mind, means you're going to be very loose and very squirrely at this point. And Kalisto, I think, had to lift off the throttle from the looseness. And now it's again Ryan Otis who's there to pick up the pieces for the second time already in this battle. Kalisto has lost a position as a result to Ryan Otis.
Look at that product placement, by the way, from Sage Karam with the HyperX liveried car as well. You get that wonderful shot of the microphone on the wheel deck as Otis, in the red and whites, looks to the inside. I think more in defense from Kalisto behind, but really it's starting to intensify. And I'm starting to get a little bit more worried than I was earlier in this race, Justin, because 30 laps into this one, you would think that these cars would just calm things down a little bit, realize that there's a long way still to go, and they are probably only about 15 laps away from Adam Blocker coming in from behind and putting them 1 lap down.
Indeed. As we look towards once more that battle, this is going to be absolutely concerning, with especially the pace Blocker's putting up. 26 sixes, half a second to fall off right now. These drivers continue to be a bottleneck for one another. And the more you fight, the more you lose time. So that's now formed all these packs essentially throughout this entire field, where it's almost a 2-second buffer now to the battle we're following along with. Here's the track map to show this in particular. You see that cluster all the way down the back straightaway? That's that entire group that's about 19th on back or so that's been fighting. Or check that 14th on back.
A shout out, by the way, to the ATVO team that puts in so much work on our graphics package. That track map edition really only came in a couple of days ago, and it's great to see. Just visualize the gap as well as Adam Blocker builds up that advantage. Kevin Neotola, Simon Grossman, Nick Thyssen, thank you for all your hard work, and looking forward to seeing what we can put on this graphics package for the rest of 2021. We are riding on board with Brian Carey, who of course has that clipping that Apex onboard look, and what a look it must have been here on the start, because struggled early in this race, Justin, but I'm really starting to see the Canadian driver pick up the pace midway through this run.
Just a +1 on the race from his starting position, but he's definitely been able to save his stuff to be able to have the pace for this moment of the race. It's just a matter now of picking his spots to try and leapfrog ahead of the others. They've already lost touch to Adam Frazier a little bit, who's now been able to break away because of the side-by-side in front.
What does
Carey is somebody... Go ahead.
No, I was going to, what does Carey do here? Teammate in front, and of course, with team points being so important, Brophy mired back in the pack. They need to try and at least work their way forward. Kinsella's in 12th, switch around for positions. Wonderful as well to see the Canadian flag on Brian Carey's helmet. Great to see some personalization. And now we look backwards. Oh, look at that move. Confidence on the side of Scott Holmes, Justin.
Oh, and Scott Holmes able to make it work on the high side, and I thought there was going to be a chance some drivers may elect to try that with some of the runs coming off of 3 and 4 tonight. And he's able to just leapfrog his way on forward with the move and breaks up what looked to be a potential teamwork play with knowing Carey had the pace at that moment. And now it's put Bennett into a peculiar situation where he's losing a ton of time and is drifting right back into the midst of that fierce battle that's been going on for 19th.
Ryan Otis has gotten on past Tony Schauen, so he's looking very good. Lap 37 on the stint so far, so only about 7 laps away from the indicated fuel stint. Oh, look at Scott Holmes trying to make it 3 wide down the back straightaway. What a move from the 67 machine, who rockets his way up into the top 15 and now looks in his rear view mirrors as around the outside Stefan Larkamp has to lose a position to Brian Carey. I'm not sure exactly what's happened to Stefan Larkamp here, Justin, but I do have to assume some sort of damage. He has lost 10 positions on the day so far and continues to slide back in this field.
Yeah, he is really struggling. Again, had to lift hard that time off the corner. And at this point, you have to make some adjustments at this point as a driver, as Chris Fowler's decided to go in. Chris Fowler's gone in at lap 39, coming to 40.
What I suspect here, Justin, is he knows just how much time these guys are costing each other. I mean, look at how hard they are fighting once more to the inside. That's a bold move from Kalisto in the Sector 597 car. And Larkamp is looking all sorts of awkward right now. Karam down the inside as well. Larkamp to the edge of the top 20. Now falls out of the top 20 because he's down onto pit road as well. Almost makes a mistake on the very tricky access road. And now, look at this, Justin. This is that tricky entry into pit lane. Try and carry as much speed as you can before you reach those yellow cones.
And we've seen many drivers in the Speedway Series make major mistakes and go off in the grass in that section. Others carry upwards of 10, 20 miles an hour less than they could have to be able to safely make their way through, but cost themselves up to 2 seconds on the access road. So it's very valuable, that time you can pick up there. By the way, looking at the strategy, it might be as simple as 40, 40, 40, and then get to the end in a 40-lap stint at this mark, because you can divide it up to lap 40, lap 80, lap 120 with the timing of some of these pit stops here. By the way, Blocker is already leaned by 3.6 seconds just about.
Here comes a flood of cars down onto the lane, though. Samuel Ryman, Joshua Chin, Tyler Groff, and Jason Galvin. So 4 cars now making their way down a slight bit earlier than I might have expected, but we'll wait and see exactly how this cycles them out. They will be 1 lap down given the amount of time it takes down here on pit road. 34 seconds in total, with a lap time here of just 26 the last time around for the race leader Adam Blocker. Look at these cars going up on the jacks. They're getting 4 fresh tires and a full tank of fuel as well. There goes Chin rolling down on pit road. Here comes Graf as well, releasing themselves off the button, and they'll feed out Justin into a much heavier traffic than I might have assumed here. Let's see what fresh tires are going to be like when Joshua Chin gets them up to temperature and pressure.
And I've seen some drivers in practice be able to send it much more aggressively with the fresher tires early on in the run, as Aaron Morgan's now ducked in, and a caution!
It's Adam Fraser. I saw there was someone who made a mistake down onto pit road, and I'm trying to pick up the stricken number 17. There he is, and I don't think it was just Fraser involved here. Matt Taylor has also slid down the timing sheets, Justin.
And this is right in the midst of the pit stop window, so this changes a lot. We'll have to see how this happened, as I think Fraser may have overcooked part of his entry as well. Taylor, in a separate situation, had also overcooked his entry. Both of them slid sideways at the edge of the racetrack.
So there's Taylor, and we'll watch him first. He got that one all sorts of wrong, and you can see Fraser in the background. Looks like he loops it to the inside rather than the outside. So let's pick up for Adam Fraser now and look at the onboard look here. Just a bit deep under the brakes, locks up as well, and he's very fortunate, Justin, to not spear himself into the inside wall.
Yeah, good job to keep it off the wall and get himself away without any major damage on that race car. Here it is for Taylor, by the way. You can see carried too much speed and drifted right up into the rumble strips. A great job by him to make sure he didn't drift up into traffic. And now, this really shakes up some of the strategy for a couple of competitors, as drivers like Chin will lose track position, others like Blocker will keep theirs.
Well, Chin's trapped 1 lap down. Oh, that is heartbreak for the private label team hype driver. He tried something different. Just has not worked out in his favor. Matt Houston is the only car that will stay out there on the track. I think trying to get the lead, a point for leading a lap. Excuse me, there I got all sorts of tongue twisted, and those are important. Adam Blocker has already accumulated 12 bonus points on the season so far as he drops off the jack and back out into the lead of this race as well. Justin, you've just made a very good point in our private chat here. For Chin, as long as Houston comes down onto pit road, which he will have to do, he will be out of fuel if he doesn't, Chin will get the wave around and cycle back to the tail end of the field.
Even then, I think he actually was in front of Houston at the time of the caution flag by a couple car lengths, so they're in a position where they can do that. I'd be more concerned about the drivers like Ryman or Jason Galvin, who are going to be still pinned even with the wave around situation as Houston comes in, where they're going to have a tough time here. But for Blocker, he made things look easy, to say the very least, in the clean air, Arjuna, because he was able to carry more speed and in turn broke the toe within the course of about 10 laps.
I think it might have even been quicker than that, Justin, because I think right around lap 3, not even about, 3.5 miles into this one, I thought the gap was already upwards of 1 second, and in this, we talked about this before we came on air. We should probably fill in the viewers as well. Usually, I think when you came to short tracks in the past in the IR18, this was not just in the Lionheart series, but across the iRacing service as well, double plane wings. Now, here today, we are running a single plane wing. I will try and get an angle that we can try and use to emphasize it. It's not as easy as you might think. Here, I'll get the telestrator out as well. We'll see right here. Oh, this is wonderful. I get to use it live on ESTV as well. Ah, it's not working perfectly. But you'll see here, Justin, there's one element, one plane that is on the front of those wings. It means less downforce, more dirty air that's going to affect the cars. It's just a little bit more difficult for the drivers to make things work here tonight.
It increases the skill level indeed when it comes to trying to make moves as well as even to ride for positions. And I think that's where some of the urgency to get some clean air pockets has come into play in turn tonight so far, especially with some of the back and forth. But we've seen the results of it where drivers were within range, by the way, of getting lapped by Blocker before the caution flag, even without a pit stop. So it was to where that aero wash was definitely affecting the drivers a lot this evening, and the battles definitely losing them a little bit of time.
Well, Justin, I mean, the time has flown on by. I mean, really enjoying this. They were fighting tooth and nail at the tail end of the field, if we're being completely honest with one another. The caution came out, I think, right around when you had postulated and speculated it might on the entry to pit road. Now what I think we're going to see is potentially a bit more elbows out here on the restart, because single file drivers know if they don't get the track position early, they may be struggling and fighting just like they were last time on that green flag run.
In particular, looking at Connor Harrington, who's starting in third here. Christopher in fourth spot to try and move up. Jay Brandt jumped up to fifth position after the pit stop cycle as well, keeping an eye on him as well, because Martinez was starting to struggle a little bit and lose a bit of time right before that caution flag too. So don't be surprised to see a lot of activity for second on back. And if that happens, that's exactly what Blocker will be looking for. If Martinez is able to dive right next to Blocker, then it might be interesting how things play out.
So the pace truck is going back down onto the safety of pit road. Adam Blocker came into this round having led 83 laps in this track in the past. He wants to get the victory that has eluded him so far. Green flag back out for the Asher Racing Channel 200 presented by SimSnap Photography. And once more, it's a very good launch from Blocker as he dives his way into turn number one. Martinez is able to hold on to second position. Aaron Morgan has slid down the field into 21st position, so lots of work to do there. And we'll get to the running order in just a few moments, Justin, but wow, there are some big changes up and down this field.
And that caution flag, as I thought, was going to shake up the field and did. Drivers like Karam mid-pack now instead of the back of the pack. Ryan Carey inside the top 10. Holmes, who was really quick at the end of the last run, top 10. All shuffling about. But this run, I've noticed, they kept within range with Blocker a little bit better now. This entire group of cars, before Blocker was able to quickly break away as Martinez had been under attack to start off the race compared to now.
That's true. In fact, I'm looking up and down the timing screen. You have to look behind Carey, who we ride on boarded right now, outside the top 10 to find the first car that's about 1/10 close enough to the car to actually make something happen here. So a much more orderly start, and you get this wonderful look. I love the stationary camera that we get because it takes you around this entire 1.25 mile track, and it just gives you that indication of how short this really is. Down in towards turn number one, Blocker now leads by 0.6 of a second. There's only been, if you can believe this, Justin, one pass here on this restart, and it was for 28th position, so for last place in effect.
Down between Galvin and Ryman, and there's been an air pass as well for 24th. Larkamp passing Fowler as well. So there is a little bit of shuffling starting to build up, but as we've seen, it takes time for these drivers to be able to gain the momentum and as well attempt to be able to pick up the tempo and be able to make the moves. Right now, it's just in a rhythm stage of the run. Get yourself into a flow, get yourself building up some speed, and then once you build up the momentum, you can make some passes. So we're in that stage of the run early on right now.
Look at this, though. Harrington with Martinez slipping 1 full second behind. Adam Blocker all over the tail end right now of that second place car. And Harrington in that quest to try and chase down Blocker at the front of the championship standings will be trying to get the move done. And I said it during when we were talking about the championships, Justin. Harrington has been so strong on the ovals. He has almost matched Adam Blocker blow for blow, victorious in Kentucky, of course, just a couple of rounds ago. Here he needs another good finish because through this month of June, he was victorious last time we went to the Indianapolis road course 12 months ago. He'll be looking to repeat that success with double points on the line at the end of the month.
He's one of just 2 drivers, himself and Blocker, who have scored top 5s in every single oval race. As hearing over the radio might be trouble for Brian Greenlee. He is coming down to the pit lane here.
Yeah, you saw him going very slowly, and I postulate damage there to the right rear potentially, because he is looking all sorts of out of shape as he will come down onto pit road. And I think there's only one thing we can do here, and that's spool up the RaceBot TV replay machine and try and pick up what happened to Brian Greenlee in the 38. Here he comes down across the start finish line, and I'll be honest, Justin, I think something's already broken there.
I think he got hit in turn 3 and 4 with Matt Houston, in fact, and damaged the end plate of the 99, where there was just maybe a tiniest of taps towards the left rear tire. That was enough to break it. You'll see from above, that's Houston, that's on the bottom of the racetrack. You can see right there is where it starts to get squirrely, right into the end plate there, and that's where the problems now ensue for Greenlee.
So it was the left rear instead of the right rear. So I got wrong there,
yes.
But Greenlee does manage to get that car back out there. 24 seconds stationary in the pits, and not the worst result that he could have had. At the front, it's status quo. Adam Blocker still leads this race, 1.2 seconds clear of Damon Martinez, who has extended that gap out to Connor Harrington, at least for the time being. It's Christopher in 4th, up 8 positions on the day, but what a drive so far. And this has been almost the story of his season, Justin. Not having a great qualifying, this time because he has a penalty to serve for contact in earlier portions of the season. He's 18 positions up on the day, working a top 10 result.
And part of that was from the strategy, but part of that as well is from Karam's raw pace. And he's been able to execute passes very well, especially in the early to midway portions of the run. It's just he got into a box towards the back end of the field at the late stages of the last run before the caution flag. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Karam make his way maybe into the battle as high as 8th position where Holmes was, since that was where he was before, and try and shape things out. Right now it's just a matter of closing back up the gap and hoping that Lionel Callisto doesn't make a move. That's going to be the main thing that could lose some time.
Callisto, another driver with 14 positions gained on the day. And I said Jason Brophy wasn't looking the most comfortable. Well, he's making me eat my words. And in that battle for the rookie championship, Henry Bennett now slides down the order into 16th position. Jason Brophy looking like that gap out front might start to just get chipped away at here as we work our way into the middle portion of this season. Back out front, talk about the team championship very briefly as well. For Adrenaline Motorsports Red here, Justin. For Andrew Kinsella, it's looking good. For Brian Carey, it's looking good. Not so good for Henry Bennett, down in 16th position.
Yeah, Bennett has just struggled in some of these ovals this season. He just hasn't had some of the luck in some of the races and some of the pace in some of the others. It's just been up and down on the ovals. Compare that to Brophy, where he's been really good on the ovals, as talked about, as somebody who works with some of the drivers for eNASCAR side of things on the iRacing service. And you have an intriguing battle amongst them, as we talked about earlier on.
Brophy, I think, actually has a little bit more eNASCAR experience than I first thought. I had some interesting conversations with him. Look at that, though. Gets the run on Karam, who's now going to slide down into 13th position as Brophy to the inside through turn 3 and 4. You see the RaceBot logo there, probably helping him out with about 5 to 10 horsepower per logo. So you got one on the left-hand side, one on the right-hand side as well. So let's say 20 horsepower gain there for the private label Team Hype machine. And now up into 12th position is that neon yellow car. I'm looking through the timing screen right now, Justin. It is not as frantic and hectic as that first green flag run is. Yes, you have these side-by-side battles, but nothing like the 3 wide and the 4 wides that we saw earlier in this action.
And it's kept the pack much more together, in my opinion, where before we've seen massive gaps of up to 2 to 3 seconds amongst the groups. Not so much now, where while it's single file, they're all getting some separation by a few car lengths, but it's not to where they're losing excessive amounts of time with side by side. And in turn, it's to where when they build up enough of a run, they can actually complete the pass fairly quickly without the risk of someone coming from behind and immediately trying to attack you. So it's a much more different tempo being set here in this part of the race, as you can see another move to the outside I believe that's Karam, who's dropped back to 15th.
I think Karam actually was able to defend the move from Henry Bennett, who was trying to look to the inside, but just no momentum on his side and lost the position to... no, that's not a lost position. I think that might even be a lapped car, unless I'm getting myself totally confused here, Justin.
Either way, Karam, remember, was as high as 11th a couple laps ago. And the reason he shuffled down there is, yes, that is Jason Galvin, who is a lap down at the moment. 35 seconds behind the race leader, who needs a bit of luck to get his lap back. To get back to the point, though, Karam was initially attacked by Lionel Kalisto, lost the bottom, lost momentum. Jason Brophy then took advantage. Then Matt Taylor took advantage. Then Ricky Harden took advantage. Now Henry Bennett's now taken advantage. Karam is now slipping further and further back to where he's losing all this momentum, losing these positions in side-by-sides, where the next car just gets enough of a boost with the single-file train and just is able to make a pass. It's going to be hard to get himself back into a rhythm with the way things are shaping up for Karam in the slide backwards.
And swarms by Adrenaline Motorsports black drivers. First Tony Shaw and Joe Branch and the Coca-Cola machine, I think, backs out of it very wisely, but will have another move here. And the defending race winner is looking in trouble here. There goes Branch. There goes the King of Chins as well on his own recovery drive. Now back up into the top 20, and it's Sage Karam in danger of slipping out of the top 20 once more. He is not looking comfortable. His teammate out front in second position, Damon Martinez, almost flipped around in terms of their performances so far in this season. Getting word, by the way, as well from race control that Jason Galvin reported needing a rear wing change on his pit stop. I think that explains part of the reason why he's still one lap down, as once more we work our way into the middle portion of this fuel window, Justin.
Explains why he had a 24-second pit stop for his service. Indeed, a massive amount of time to change the rear wing. You definitely don't want to get damaged with that wing. I think it might have been with that checkup effect we've seen with Jay Brandt, possibly, since that was where we've seen a bit of that contact in that grouping with the tire-to-tire contact, checking everyone out. So that might be where that came from for Galvin.
So we'll watch and see maybe for Galvin if he is able to recover from his position. We jump on board with Aaron Morgan at one point running second place in this race. Now finds himself having to try and work his way back up through the field, but he's got company in the form of Joshua Chin. And wow, Justin, lap 72. We're almost halfway into this race, and the laps really have ticked on by. Not necessarily a race that is known for having the most number of cautions, just 4 set in 4 different seasons so far. But this one is going very, very well, and the drivers are showing the quality of the Lionheart IndyCar Series.
And the quality of the racing has been incredible tonight. While there's been heavy battling, the drivers have been giving each other space. There haven't been too many late arcs. There haven't been too many dicey moments outside of 1 or 2 here or there. For the most part, it's been nice and clean. And it's gone the way drivers have hoped. It's just been that one sequence of mistakes for the pit entry that brought out the caution flag so far. It's been an impressive race so far, and it was clean like this in practice as well, and I think the preparation and practice made perfect to make sure the drivers knew what to do for tonight and what to expect with some of this battling as we see one start to form up for a moment, back single file for the split second.
I think what we're seeing, especially through turn 1, is you can look to the inside, but outside momentum carries you down that back straightaway. You have to be bold, you have to be brave, you have to be named Chris Fowler to try and make this work. A side by side with Tyler Groff. There's that momentum you can carry into the corner on the outside and then roll it through the center, get onto the power slightly earlier, and sweeps around Chris Fowler for now, but Fowler's having none of it. Groff says, not yet, I'm going to cover you off, and I wonder if there was contact there for Tyler Groff, Justin.
Bit of sparks coming up, nearly getting to the wall, I think, was Graf trying to battle in that battle for position as well. It got close. But I think both of the cars are visually okay. That's the main thing. As they now try and get themselves sort of back out, they're catching up to Aaron Morgan despite this fight, keep in mind.
I tell you what, let's stop looking at the battles and start talking about storylines. There's Joshua Chin slipping on past Joe Branch. That's important for Chin as he tries to work his way back up into the top 10, where his teammates are trying to extend their advantage in the team's championship. 2 seconds clear is Adam Blocker from Damon Martinez, but great to see Martinez, Justin, who just like a number of other drivers, has really not enjoyed the best start to the season that necessarily he would have expected. He's strong at this track and showing that once more here tonight.
Yeah, Martinez looking very consistent, and it was talked about by Karam before the season that Martinez would be running the ovals. And Martinez, he's been having some ups and downs when it comes to the ovals this season. He's shown okay pace in some of them, but tonight's definitely been the best run he's had on an oval this season. Third total start of the campaign, 33rd at Kentucky, 34th at Homestead. He actually led at one point at Homestead, keep in mind, just one lap led. So he's been able to stay out of trouble. That's the main thing, and having good starting position has been very big for Martinez since he started in the heart of the pack in both of his previous oval starts.
His best finish in his Lionheart career so far has been 2 third-place results, both on the road courses, and both as I look at these tracks, Belle Isle and Monza. I'm sure those are races that probably required some sort of attrition. This is not that sort of race. Can he get his best ever result here in the Lionheart IndyCar Series as we work our way towards the halfway point of this race? Here comes Adam Blocker in through turn number 3. And out of turn 4, he will run 2 seconds clear of Martinez. Harrington in 3rd, Christopher in 4th, Jay Brandt in 5th. Halfway through this action, Justin, 100 miles left to go.
And Chris Fowler, I believe, has gone into the grass. The 20 machine is having a problem.
Once more, pit road is biting people, and not even before they get to the entry. We stay under green flag conditions this time around. It is not an early pit stop from Chris Fowler, interestingly, though, Justin. He's been out there on track for 41 laps.
Wonder what happened to Fowler here to cause this possibly, as I think it was maybe a later decision, in fact, because he did duck down towards the lane, but just shot up the track. You're going to see right here that he decides at the last moment here, you know what, I'm going to come down and pit since we're at halfway, split it at 40 laps to go to be able to close it out, then drifts up the racetrack and just stays out of the racing line enough to avoid an incident, but goes so down low in the grass that it will lose him a ton of time, and this strategy that he may have thought about just went upside down.
Upside down, to say the very least. A number of other cars are down onto the lane, I think. I see Aaron Morgan, Matt Taylor, of course, second place finish in the Lionheart Speedway Series round here just a couple of weeks ago. Here they come down into the box. We are fortunate, Justin, to still be under green flag conditions, if you ask me. Very similar incidents to what we saw the last time around.
Yeah, it was very close to seeing Fowler drift up in towards a couple drivers in traffic, or if he was to go sideways along those rumble strips, it might have been enough to trigger the caution flag. But he came out right in front of the battle going on for 4th position and fed some dirty air here to Chris Fowler and broken them up a little bit. Connor Harrington now trying to break away a touch as we look back at Fowler.
So lap 85 here then. Oh, this is interesting. Blocker is clear, but I have no idea how things are going to shake out throughout the rest of the pack as well, because still got at least one more green flag pit stop to go if we can keep this under green flag conditions, which I think all of the drivers are very much trying to do so, and they are putting on a show here at the Worldwide Technology Raceway. No one down onto pit road this time around, and if we get another caution, just like we did last time in the pit stop cycle, Justin, who's going to get caught out one lap down?
That's going to be the difficult thing. It all comes down to the timing of the caution flag for one, but two, positioning a Blocker, because Blocker has already nearly reeled his way towards the back of the field where Greenlee is 2 laps down, as well as a couple others who are all grouped together, Tyler Graff in particular. So you see on the track map, you can tell once he gets to that traffic, it's the interesting mark of how will that affect Blocker, because the dirty air in some cases has been feeding drivers up to 2 seconds of a time difference. And that's why you see drivers try and pit and hope they get into a clean air pocket to utilize the fresh tires and then break away from some of the groupings.
Here comes Joshua Chin down onto pit road, trundling. It's pedestrian. It feels oh so painful. Into the box he will go. Up on the jacks. 4 fresh, Firestone tires being fitted to the private label Team Hype 93, and the purple machine rolls himself out of pit road. 8.7 seconds stationary. That is a very good stop from Joshua Chin, but he got caught out the last time around during these green flag pit stops. He will be hoping we stay under green flag conditions. Adam Blocker onto lap 43 on the stint, now almost 3 seconds clear of Damon Martinez. Is looking dominant here. And Justin, what a start to the season it would be for Blocker, completing round 7 here. I don't exactly know how the point situation is going to work out, but what I do know, the gap will get bigger.
Yeah, this is the exact type of night Adam Blocker needed to have momentum-wise. So far, only one multiple-time winner this season, Arjuna, in Sage Karam. And with the performances and consistency Blocker's had, this is exactly what he needed to be able to grow that distance even more so. Even by a little bit with Harrington up here at the front of the pack. But with Karam struggling tonight in 17th position, it's looking like it is Blocker's race to lose. It all comes down to strategy and luck, though, at this point. Not just the talent, because he's definitely got the pace tonight, as he's now on his 45th, now coming to 46th lap of his stint.
I tell you what, we are going to have history set here today, I do think, because we've never had the pole sitter win the race at Gateway, and clean air is looking so important as Blocker comes on to the back of lap traffic. I believe that's Tyler Groff in front of him. I do think that you start to get a little bit worried if anyone's going to be able to pass the defending series champion. Pit road is busy. Damon Martinez is followed in by the likes of Ricky Harding, Ryan Otis, and a few other cars. This is the important stop for Damon Martinez, Justin, in the race that he'll be hoping for his first ever second place finish in the Lionheart IndyCar Series.
Yeah, he's done a very good job. He's lost time, yes, to the leader during these stints, but he's looked very consistent when it comes to keeping himself where he's at and being able to build a distance on the rest of the pack. Nicely well executed. Connor Harrington also now in the pit lane for his service. Adam Blocker expected this time, Arjuna.
Look at that. Something's happened out on track, and once more we will stay under green flag conditions. Luis Gonzalez Nunez has lost the front wing of his car, and I wonder what other damage he has managed to do to the Necky Racing Team car that qualified oh so well, but now finds himself in trouble. And oh no, he's made a mistake on pit road, Justin. Let's take a look at the Race Spot TV replay.
Yeah, just locked it up as he tried to carry speed right behind Adam Frazier on the pit entry. And when he went to lock it up to make sure he didn't hit the back end of Frazier, who was lifting a little bit earlier for the commitment cone, he ended up locking up both the front tires. It just carried him right into the fence. And as you can see, immediately broke the suspension and carried him to the inside wall as well. Race over for Nunez, who has been quick all season. The luck hasn't been there, though, for him.
Adam Blocker, by the way, is off of pit road, has cycled out back into the race lead, and still 3.3 seconds clear of Damon Martinez. But looking in his rearview mirrors is the number 3 machine with Connor Harrington in the 44 all over his rear wing. Karam is still out there. He will get the point for leading a lap as Andrew Kinsella, Tony Schowen, and Joe Brons, the Adrenaline Motorsports trio, are down onto the pit road. We'll watch now this battle for second position.
And you can see Harrington's trying to angle it out to try and find a clearer pocket, but Martinez is playing very defensively, or trying to feed the dirty air to that front wing and force Harrington to lose that front grip.
On board with Martinez as we still wait for Karam to come down, so he's trying to extend this as far as he can do it and maybe just try and get those bonus points. Looking rearward, you get the wonderful sense of the different lines. Martinez feeding the dirty air to Harrington. The gap now up to 0.4 of a second just for the briefest moment, but here comes the 44, Justin. Momentum on his side.
Yeah, bad corner exit for Martinez. Nearly slapped the wall coming off of turn 2. Harrington, though, just couldn't get enough of a run to be able to take advantage in that situation. Just needs to be patient here. Time this up well to be able to make the move, because Martinez has a clean air pocket at the moment. Compare that to behind them, and you can see these trains are very difficult to try and jump on forward through.
Karam
right now in this run.
It's very difficult right now, and I think this traffic is really just playing a bit of a cork in the bottle effect for some of these drivers. Karam is down onto the lane, so Blocker re-inherits the race lead. Crucial though, Jason Brophy gets on past Andrew Kinsella. This is that battle for the team's championship as they're ducking and diving their way across the start-finish line as well. Look at this, and almost 3 wide as they come in through turn number 1. It's Lionel Callisto, 19 positions gained on the day so far. He now, Justin, is the biggest mover here from Gateway.
Very well executed, as a little bit dicey there with Jason Galvin right across the front nose of one car. Matt Taylor was that machine who is on a 10-lap undercut compared to his fellow competitors, trying to take advantage here of the older tire, or rather, the fresher tires for a split moment before everyone else came down. But you can see Taylor getting past. This is similar to what we've seen in some of the Speedway Series races where drivers tried different tire strategy, then drifted on back as the tire grip went away.
Still watching this wonderful battle as out front, it's still close between Martinez and Harrington. And I wonder now, if you're Harrington, Justin, do you get your elbows out and try and get on past now? Because Adam Blocker continues to run away at the front of this field.
I think Harrington definitely has the pace to try and get by Martinez. It's just a matter of getting the right run with the traffic. That's going to be the difficult thing when it comes to trying to make the move. As keep in mind, in this other grouping of cars, they're starting to fan out a little bit and try different lines, as Galvin now under attack. Remember, Galvin a lap down in this race.
Weird seeing Galvin in new colors, but I guess that's something we're going to have to watch out for. 60 laps to go, and then working lap 101. Jason Brophy to the inside of Matt Taylor. This is crucial on the edge of the top 10 as they're almost 2 wide, 2 deep. Entering through the corner, Brophy looking very impressive down on the inside line. Very different to what I said at the start of this race, Justin, because he was not comfortable in qualifying, not comfortable in the early stages of this race. Now to the inside of the Lionheart Retro Series champion. Oh, contact!
A little bit dicey. That got very chaotic.
That was very chaotic there. Sorry, Justin. I think we were tripping over each other. So much chaos going on here. I wonder if there's damage to Jason Brophy.
Doesn't look like it visually on the car at the very least. He's actually pulling away there, Arjuna, for the time being, but it's all bottlenecked everyone else up in this grouping. Drivers like Rigney, all looking to try and pounce now. Brian Carey's in this group. Scott Holmes, we haven't talked too much about in the past little while in this grouping. All of them are trying to get by Galvin, who is still in 26th position.
And of course, here in IndyCar competition, you are allowed to try and regain your lap, but it doesn't necessarily make you the most friends, as there you can see Galvin on the outside line. Oh, almost contact with the car in front as Carey to the inside and followed in, I would assume, by Matt Taylor. So they'll get on through, and I'm sure they'll be pretty delighted about that. Left-hand side of the screen, you can affirm what I said earlier. Callisto, the biggest mover on the day, but 6th, 7th, and 8th, Justin, you've got 18, 19th, and 20 positions gained. Those cars very much have been working their way through on this strategy, but they are looking strong here in the closing stages.
Remember, Callisto and Brophy were not able to set times in qualifying, so they were able to take advantage again of strategy and luck to be able to find their way in this situation, but have also had the raw pace to back it up. And that's the critical thing, as you see Graf left by Callisto, is to be able to get yourself to the pack, you need to have that raw pace in the preparation to have said speed to execute with. If you don't put in that preparation, or you struggle a little bit in the traffic, then you're not going to make up the positions. And they've been able to make up the positions. Callisto's also been very bold, keep in mind, with some of his passes.
You're watching the Lionheart IndyCar Series on Race Spot TV. It's been a wild ride so far in round 7. The Ashel Racing Channel 200 presented by SimSnap Photography. The final laps coming up on the other side of this. Welcome back to RaceSpot TV and coverage of the Astro Racing Channel 200, presented by SimSnap Photography, the official photography partner of the Lionheart Racing Series. It's been a wild ride so far, but the three-time king is still at the front of the field as Adam Blocker looks to start the month of June and the trip to Speedway, Indiana in the best way possible. My name is Arjuna Kenkipati, alongside is Justin Prince. And Justin, as we head into the final 45 laps of this race, pit stops are imminent.
It's going to be very critical to be able to enter the pit lane well in this race. We've already seen several mistakes by drivers come into play that have impacted some competitors' races and brought out the caution flag at one point for this event. It's going to be very important if you want to get a good points painting finish to be able to enter that pit lane nice and smoothly while executing with the quickest amount of time on the access roads without slipping off into the grass. That's going to be very key.
During that break, we were watching as Jay Brandt applied the pressure onto the back of Chris Stouffer, who's been strong in the Speedway Series, but not the best of runs for the 13 car here in the IndyCar competition just yet. But now here, looking at a top four finish, they can close on the back of Harrington and Martinez in front. You never know, that two-way fight for second and third could develop into a four-way fight for second and third position as well. But left side of the screen, you can see the movers and shakers. And if you're just joining us here on RaceSpot TV and ESTV, one caution on the day, and Justin, it came out right as we were in that first pit stop window and really has shaken the running order up.
Yeah, drivers like Brophy found their way towards the front as a result. Drivers like Kalisto, Ryan Otis, who were battling for about 20th position, found themselves knocking on the doorstep of the top 10 or in the top 10. But one thing to note is Sage Karam was among those drivers who was also knocking on the doorstep of a top 10, but is all the way back in 20th position in what's been a nightmarish run for Karam tonight. Not the evening he's been looking for in that two machine.
Now to the inside of Galvin, so that's lap traffic as he closes on the Coca-Cola car with Joe Branch in front of him out of turn 4. Should get the move done on a winner on a short track so far this season. Jason Galvin took a very interesting victory at Phoenix as he got around the outside of Adam Blocker in dramatic fashion to take the thumbs up cancer down 200. Now though, with being one lap down for so long, that rear wing damage that we had mentioned earlier, looking like a top 25 finish, the best that the play-by-play commentator will be able to do. Gap out front, by the way, we're watching Ricky Harding and Adam Fraser duking it out for 17th and 18th. It's up, Justin, to 4.5 seconds. That is incredible. Adam Blocker is starting to get into some lap traffic once more.
Yeah, and it's going to be where that traffic could impact how that gap fluctuates. The traffic has been very cordial outside of Galvin in some cases throughout the night so far, where if they're on the verge of being lapped, I've seen a lot of them actually give a lot of space, like Tyler Graff in particular has given lots of space to some of the lead lap cars. So it hasn't been too much of a hassle so far, but when you get to drivers who are in the midst of position battles, is where it's going to get very difficult in my opinion, because then you're going to have to think about, okay, do I elect to come down and pit because I'm inside the fuel mark? He's got a 14 lap buffer or so to be able to decide when do I come in, when do I stay out, etc.
At the line, it is 40 laps to go, so the pit stop window is well and truly open. Adam Blocker in dominant fashion leading this race. His teammate Brian Carey is having a fun old scrap with Matt Taylor, who I think is coming down onto pit road. And indeed, the pit stop window well and truly is open, because second place finisher when the Speedway Series visited here a couple of weeks ago, down onto the lane, trying something different. Let's quickly recap, by the way, Justin, the action in the month of May from Speedway Indiana, because we are going to have our own trip to Speedway Indiana here in the Lionheart IndyCar Series over the month of June. But we talked about Sage Karam's wonderful drive to 7th from 29th, if I'm remembering correctly, the tail end of the field. Adam Blocker, trackside in his own responsibilities with Ilmore Engineering. He was the engine engineer for Pareto Autosport. And
trouble. Andrew Kinsella just hit the wall down the backstretch.
That's the 41 car, and there's big damage. And no, to the inside for the Adrenaline Motorsports red driver. Good catch there, Justin. And I think we'll stay under green flag conditions here in this green flag pit stop window.
And immediately out of the race as a result. He was in the midst of the battle with Jason Brophy and carried way too much speed coming off the corner right into the safer barrier and directly to the inside wall. just went near full throttle coming off the corner. You'll see from the onboard how much speed he carried just trying to make it stick. That just didn't have much space to be able to pull that off.
Joshua Chin had come down onto pit road just as Kinsella was having that accident. His heart would have been in his mouth once more here today. And I tell you what, Justin, let's get one more look from this angle here and just watch as he rides up into the wall. And, well, he's a passenger from there.
Yeah, immediately just pinpoints him to the inside and completely demolishes the suspension. Just nothing he could do once he tapped that wall. Just a bit too much speed trying to clear on by Brophy for position. He had been having a very stellar race. Not so much now. He's now among the drivers who are in the garage area already.
And he was the best running Adrenaline Motorsports red driver, so the championship battle, it's looking good for Harrington and Brophy in the top 10 right now. Private label Team Height might extend the gap there in those team championships. Speaking of Adrenaline Motorsports, though, it's Adrenaline Motorsports black driver Christopher defending from Jay Brandt and down in towards turn number 1. Lionel Callisto has a great view of the side-by-side action.
And Brandt's been trying to set this up for a while. It's been a stellar drive for Brandt after the tire-to-tire contact early in this race and some of the struggles after that. What a send by Brandt, and trying to send it underneath was Callisto.
Don't know if Stouffer necessarily thought that was on, and a very late cut there to block off the momentum from Callisto. 20 positions gained. He wants a little bit more. What a season it's been for him, Justin. He is right now, if I'm looking at this order correctly, one of the highest running rookies here today.
An impressive race indeed for Callisto with that plus 20. And he's been very daring, especially in turn 3, to be able to make those moves. And I think that's been part of the difference from some of the others who may have been a bit more conservative, is he knows when to be aggressive. He knows when to make the moves and when to try and swap down. As bit of trouble for Jason Galvin on the access road.
That was quite pretty there, Justin. Good car control from Jason Galvin. Let's ride on board here. He saves this car. Does a nice little drift on this access road. One lap down already, of course. And just watch there, does a good job to keep this thing under green flag conditions. And someone was asking Justin why we are under green after that incident for Andrew Kinsella. Race control is automated when it comes to throwing out those cautions. So the iRacing system, for whatever reason, decided Andrew was down on the inside. He was able to safely make his way back down onto pit road. Therefore, we stay under green flag conditions.
And he also stayed in the grass. That's the main thing. If he came up across onto the pavement, that may have been enough for the trigger potentially. So, but now it's the matter, though, of trying to get to the pit stop window. These drivers, we expect them to come in up to 7 laps. And it's going to be important to get those fuel calculations right to make sure you don't overfill the car as well in the stop, to be able to save a little bit of time as well. You have to be able to manage it well enough to be able to be where you're not waiting for the tires.
Talk about our sim experience driver profile very quickly, because history is being made here today. Tony Schowen, with his 126th Lionheart IndyCar start, will become the most active driver in this series so far. There are drivers that have up to 160 starts over the 9 seasons of this competition so far, but Schowen will be the active driver with the most starts. 34 top 10s, 18 top 5s, with 1 win and 2 poles to his name. Started all the way back in Season 3, back at the Homestead Miami. Chicagoland Season 8, that was his first victory, and we'll see if he can replicate that success here in 2021. Pit stop window is open. I saw Joe Branch down onto the lane the last time around, Justin. Who else is coming in now?
Jason Brophy, Henry Brenner among the drivers, I believe, coming in. Lionel Callisto was overshot the access road. He's off into the grass.
That's once more great car control, though. We'll lose him a bunch of time. We stay under green flag conditions still. Justin, this has been wonderful. The drivers have shown up to today with focus on their mind. That one caution that we've had, the only blemish on the record.
Yeah, that was close to being able to drift up into the path of traffic once more, though. So that's going to cost him at least 1, maybe 2 positions at minimum. Ryan Oates, by the way, also was that driver that was able to capitalize and pass on by as he was making that mistake.
I'm sure that was a pretty scary moment as well. You come down onto pit road, you see the car in front of you having all sorts of issues, and I tell you what, I think we're going to take a look at the RaceBot TV replay, and indeed we are. You can see Callisto sends it deep, and don't get the look there, but Otis down the inside, Justin. Very calm, very controlled, he takes a position away from Kalisto.
He just runs his normal pace, essentially saying, thank you for the free spot, as Martinez now is coming to pit.
So from second place, Damon Martinez, best finish of third so far, both of those coming on the road courses. Let's see what this pit stop will be for this driver. Important to get into the boxes. I think that's Adam Fraser, who's rolling himself out of his box for the final time in today's action. Martinez is tentative on the entry. Does he lose any time as he goes up on the jack? 4 fresh tires for the final time today and a full tank of fuel, because 8.7 seconds, not a short stop. Here he comes. Where does he feed out, Justin, in relation to the rest of the field?
Looking like at the very least, he may feed out in front of a battle going on between Kerry and some of the drivers who have already come into pit. Yeah, just in front of him by a decent margin or so, where things are starting to bottle up right around Brian Kerry, because last time by, Kerry scraped the wall as Harrington has now come in.
So we'll leave that track map up, I think, now throughout the entirety of this pit stop cycle and just figure out where cars are going to cycle back out. So Harrington, the next car to come down. We only have 7 cars yet to visit pit lane for the final time today with 24 laps to go. It is still Adam Blocker that leads his championship rival down into pit lane. No mistakes can be made for the 44 crew. Very considered stop, 7.8 seconds. He rolls his way back out onto track. Jay Brandt in the 15, Justin, the next car down onto pit road.
Very well executed on that lane and very well executed on the access road. Jay Brandt also was able to execute very well on the access road with no major mistakes. But our race leader, Adam Blocker, is in, and it's the question of how will this play out with Martinez and Harrington? By the way, Harrington has cycled in front of Martinez.
I was just about to note that, Justin. Great job there on pit road. And I wondered for a second, Justin, I don't think I saw Harrington go up on the jacks. I was slightly distracted looking down at my timing screen. I wonder, with a full second shorter in the pit stop, what has Harrington done to jump up into net second position?
We talked about the potential of putting in less fuel. He was up on the jacks, I can tell you that, so he might have saved some time with the amount of gas he put in the car. Some of the drivers have put in the full tank of 9.1 seconds, a lot of fuel that they have in excess in their tanks. Compared to the Blocker, another 8-second stop for him. Enough gas to make it to the end.
Blocker looks comfortable. Blocker is in control. Sage Karam will cycle to the race lead, at least for now, because Tony Showen is down onto pit road for the final time today. Karam, the only car yet to make his final pit stop in today's action. Where will he cycle out? That will be very interesting in the championship picture, but here we go. 20 laps to go. The gap between Blocker and Harrington, 3.5 seconds. I don't think there's much that the 44 car can do, Justin, to try and challenge Adam Blocker.
Unless there's a lot of traffic or some mistakes that start to build up, I'm not quite sure either. Adam Blocker has just been that dominant throughout the race tonight. Just been able to break away from the toe of other competitors and just keep it clean from the get-go. Ryan Otis, by the way, looking for one of his best finishes on an oval this season, has a chance to jump up to 6th.
Riding around behind Indiana's own Chris Stouffer. Left side of the screen once more. We will show you the movers and shakers. And, of course, Karam will slip down the field. So Otis and Kalisto, they are matched effectively at 19 positions gained. No qualifying effort for Kalisto. Otis was the slowest of the cars to set a qualifying lap time. Just goes to show that you can be slow in quali, you can be fast in race trim. And fast is Otis, the Lionheart Retro Series champion. Sage Karam is still out there on track, and the advantage that Adam Blocker has over the rest of the field, Justin, is so much that he's just passed Sage Karam out on track.
Yeah, and Karam is struggling a lot right now. He is running 27-second lap time. Something is going on with Karam to be off the pace that much at this point. Either way, it's Adam Blocker now with that 3-second advantage over Harrington. It's just a matter of making sure he doesn't make any major mistakes now. If you're Blockers, you see Karam start to weave.
I'm listening to the engine note right now. I'm trying to figure out, Justin, if he's down on the fuel maps and maybe just trying to get this car to the end. No, he's going to come down onto pit road now. No. I am very confused by what the Dreyer and Reinbold driver, who also competes for Coanda Simsport here on the sim, is doing. But the one thing I am definitely seeing, he is just not going off the corners.
Yeah, he is only going 180 miles an hour at the start and finish line and is really lifting a lot in the corners. You have to think he's trying to save fuel here, but the thought process at the same time is he's trying to save about 15 laps. I don't know if he's going to be able to get what he's waiting for here.
It's a bold call, that's for sure. But I mean, Justin, with how this race has gone, you might as well try something. And I tell you what, I don't think he's going to fight his teammate too hard here. He'll let Martinez go for his third podium result on the day when Martinez does close that gap. And he'll try and just look in his rearview mirrors and minimize the amount of hurt that he leaves from here and heads back to the virtual Speedway Indiana. What a month of May it was for him. Competed in the Sunday event, you know, the bump day qualifying drama, just squeaking into the field in 30th position, then driving up through the field. Best finish of 7th. Now back here on the Lionheart Racing Series competition, enjoying himself once more.
Yeah, another driver passing on by, that was Jay Brandt, and you'd have to think Karam has to make his way down the pit lane soon at this point, even with the saving strategy here. He did extend it fairly long the last stint. I will say that, Arjuna, by at least a few more laps. So we'll have to see.
It's going to be tough, though. We still got 13 laps to go, because Adam Blocker is across the start-finish line. Sage Karam is a full second slower than the leaders. And if I do the math there, so he's going to drop 13 seconds back, Justin. He still might finish, you know, up there in the top 12. So I wonder if Karam maybe just recognized that he was going to be a bit too slow. Never mind. There goes Karam down onto pit road.
8 to 12 laps to go. Didn't get the caution flag he was looking for to get some track position, but you have to give him credit for trying something different.
So into the box he will go. It's been a much stronger season for him in the Lionheart Retro Series. Hopefully, we'll see him back in action in just 24 hours' time, Justin. Oh, what a couple of days we've got in store for ourselves here, because we'll head over from the Worldwide Technology Raceway to one of the best tracks, not just in the iRacing service, but across the globe as well. We'll head to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, where we will break out the Lotus 79.
And that should be an exciting race. It's a track with plenty of danger spots, but also some good passing opportunities. I've seen some great battles in the Lotus 79 there in my sim racing broadcast career, especially when it comes to the run up towards China Beach as well as in the keyhole. I'm expecting the same for a lot of the competitors when it comes to that race. It's going to be exciting to see who can come up with the checker flag, or at the very least, get second on back.
Stouffer loses the spot to Otis. Here comes Kalisto as well. He wants to match Otis in terms of being the biggest mover and shaker, I would have to think. It's 10 laps to go, so in towards the final 12.5 miles here from the Worldwide Technology Raceway. Justin, in fact, now down to the final 9 laps. What an interesting race here. I mean, a race that's only seen a maximum of 7 cautions, a fewest of 4. We are just 8 laps away then from history being set. Just 1 caution on the day and some incredible side-by-side action.
Especially with some of the 3 wide earlier on in the race. And to see the race be clean even with some of those moves has been incredible. A lot of respect being given by the drivers tonight. And in turn, it's led to a very clean and exciting race, especially in the mid-pack, especially for battles such as this, the battle for 6th position. It's been that type of a night where drivers know that if they don't have the momentum, time to let off and try and reset and build up a run to get the position back if I can in some cases. Others have thought big picture in their moves, as Kalisto with the big send to be able to break away a little bit from Stouffer.
I think if you told Lionel Kalisto he would start from the back of the field and make his way up into the top 6 and be one of the highest running rookies here in today's activities, he'll be pretty delighted with that outcome. And with 7 laps to go, be 6 at the line. He's pulling away from Chris Stouffer, who is falling into the clutches of Mike Rigney here. It's all over. The back is the 00, and I wonder just how long it will take, Justin, for this move to come through.
Gonna be interesting, curious to see how this plays out here amongst this, especially with Rigney having a very quiet but solid race. But one thing I've noticed, remember Adam Blocker, he is in the midst of traffic. We were talking about this and how much the Aero Watch could factor in if this came to be. Guess who has closed in to under 2 seconds? Connor Harrington.
They are too wide in front of Harrington as well. That will make him nervous. I believe that's Ricky Harding and Matt Houston. They are one lap down and fighting for 20th and 21st position. It's 4 laps to go at the line. The gap is down to 1.9 seconds as Connor Harrington hunts down the championship leader. They are 1 and 2 in the championship standings, Justin. They are 1 and 2 out here on track in round 7 of the Lionheart IndyCar Series.
The downside is Harrington has to get himself by 2 drivers. Matt Houston, Ricky Harding if he wants a shot here. Is there enough time? Is the biggest question. He is gaining a couple tenths a lap at the very most. I don't know if it's going to be enough.
It's going to come down to the wire. It is going to be 3.75 miles at the line with 3 laps to go. Connor Harrington trying to chase down the defending series champion, but I do think even though it is down to 1.4 seconds, Matt Houston and Ricky Harding, they are squabbling tooth and nail right now. 2 laps to go at the line, Justin. I think it's Adam Blocker's victory to lose.
As long as there isn't any major mistakes in front of Blocker, I think he's in a good spot. Just a matter now of Harrington getting bottled up behind here. Harrington, in fact, right onto the rear wing of these drivers in the battle for 20th position. Will they give him the space? No, in fact, they'll match the line with them, and this is going to lose him some time.
Up to 1.2 then, and it's going to be oh so close here, coming to the white flag. It is 1.3 seconds now as Harrington continues to get checked up behind Matt Houston. And there's more lap traffic. That's Jason Galvin to the outside as well. Where does Connor Harrington go? Looks to the inside, but 1.3 seconds behind with the white flag in the air. Adam Blocker from pole position, a position that no person has taken victory here in the Lionheart IndyCar Series before. It was a dominant display, only being removed from the top of the standings for pit stop considerations. What a clean race we've had, and what a race we've got to witness here live on RaceBot TV. The defending series champion takes victory in the Asher Racing Channel 200, presented by SimSnap Photography, and extends his championship advantage over the rest of the chasing pack.
A very dominating performance from Adam Blocker tonight. To be able to lead this many laps and have the consistency was very key. But the traffic almost came into play with Harrington closing in about 2 seconds over the course of the final 15 or so laps of this one. In the end, though, Blocker's advantage is more than enough to hold on with the buffer.
And I was just taking a look over at the history books here, Justin. When we came into that final run of green flag pit stops, I almost expected history would be made. Adam Blocker would win by more than 4 seconds, the largest margin of victory at the Worldwide Technology Raceway. It came down to 1.1 seconds. That's not even the second closest finish in history at this track before. So the fireworks go up, but it's Adam Blocker in HyperX victory lane. And after the month of May and all that he had to endure, I'm sure it was hectic, I'm sure it was busy, and I'm sure from time to time, Justin, he just felt a little bit under pressure. He responded in the best way possible, extended his championship advantage, and returns home to take victory here from Gateway.
Nice clean race indeed, as Sage Karam also celebrates his 23rd place finish down the front stretch. An incredible day for the championship as well, a chance to grow that gap a little bit more for Adam Blocker.
Let's just take in this moment for a second and enjoy the synchronized donuts from Sage Karam and Adam Blocker. They are fierce rivals on the track, but they were both there for the month of May. Karam enjoyed his best ever finish in Indy 500 history. For Adam Blocker, he was delighted to be a part of Simona Di Silvestro, her crew at Pareto Autosport, and history being made in another way in the Indy 500. Let's go ahead then and take a look at our unofficial race results. I always like to put that in there because race control does have the authority to make changes to these Carnox race results, but it is Adam Blocker into HyperX victory lane. Connor Harrington in second, 1.1 seconds adrift, second place in the championship, second place on track as well. Damon Martinez, a third place finish in his Lionheart career. What will it take for him to get up 1 or 2 more steps on that podium here in this competition? Jay Brunt, Ryan Otis for Synergy Motorsports 4th and 5th. Great to see Otis up 20 positions along with Lionel Callisto in the Sector 5 97. Mike Rigney in 7th, with Chris Stouffer dropping to 8th in the closing stages. Not the easiest day for the Indiana native. Matt Taylor 9th on the day, with Scott Holmes rounding out the top 10. Joshua Chin, unfortunate to be caught out in that one and only caution. He recovers then to 11th position in front of Henry Bennett. Crucial in the team standings. Private label team hype versus Adrenaline Motorsports Red. Jason Brophy, after crashing into the wall during qualifying, 13th on the day for him, with Aaron Morgan 14th. Adam Fraser, the top 15. Tony Shaw and Brian Carey, 16th and 17th for Adrenaline Motorsports, with Chris Fowler in 18th. Joe Branch, the final car on the lead lap. Ricky Harding will round out the top 20 in our slightly smaller field, with Matt Houston, Stefan Larkamp, and Sage Karam all one lap down. Samuel Ryman wasn't feeling too confident coming into this one, but 24th on the day, with Jason Galvin, Tyler Graf 3 laps down. Retirements, there are only 3 of them. Andrew Kinsella smacked the outside wall in through turn number 2. He retires 39 laps down, with Brian Greenlee and Luis Gonzalez Nunez rounding out our 29 car field. What a race it was, and I can't wait for the rest of the month of June as well, because now we will head to Speedway, Indiana. First up, it will be the Indy GP, a race that Connor Harrington took victory 12 months ago. Dramatic fashion there as well. A bit of contact coming into those final couple of laps. Lots more to get to, though, here on our post-race show. So let's dive into the HyperX post-race show, because the Lionheart Racing Series is powered by HyperX, the makers of premier gaming gear like the legendary Ultra Comfortable Cloud line of gaming headsets. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows that we're all gamers. For more information on HyperX products, visit hyperxgaming.com, and don't forget to use the promo code Lionheart15, that's LIONHRT15, for 15% off all orders. And so, HyperX post-race show, let's dive straight into the HyperX victory lane as well and talk to Adam Blocker, the defending series champion, who takes a lights to flag victory here today. Adam, clean air was important. 1 caution on the day. How excited are you about returning to victory lane here in the Lionheart IndyCar Series?
Yeah, I mean, it feels good. It's been a few races, and yeah, it's always good to get a win. And yeah, I mean, I think I felt pretty confident about qualifying. I was doing some really good times, and honestly, I crashed on my first time lap, so I reset a couple times to make sure I had a good run for the second lap. And honestly, I didn't really hit it very well, but I still got it by like half a tenth. I was kind of surprised. Yeah, and then in the race, yeah, it was pretty straightforward because we only had 1 caution, and the strategy went pretty straightforward, and I was able to gap the guys behind me, so I never really had to worry under the pit cycles. I was just trying to save a little bit of fuel to make sure I didn't get trapped a lap down by a yellow during the pit cycle, which paid off in that first caution. I think if I hadn't been saving a little bit, that would have happened to me. So.
Well, and for you, Adam, I think the month of May really was crucial, not just in your real-world commitments and your career with Ilmor Engineering, but here in the Lionheart IndyCar Series as well, in your quest for a 4th consecutive championship. Not being at home 3 weeks, you were on the road, finding other rigs to compete at. You managed to extend your championship advantage, and now the month of June, you will return to the virtual Speedway Indiana in a couple of weeks' time, first for the Indy GP, and then for the Lionheart 500 as well. What are you hoping for throughout this month of June?
Well, yeah, definitely. First, want to thank Indy Simulation and Kerry Bettenhausen for letting me borrow his rig. It was a really good opportunity and had a good finish out of it. Made the most of it. Yeah, just looking forward to it. I mean, it's not it's just really important for points, basically, especially the 500 because it's double points. So yeah, really just trying to finish strong, which I normally do. I'm really looking forward to running a 500-mile race with these guys. Yeah, just kind of looking forward to it.
And before we let you go then, Adam, talk to us about the next track, an Indy GP, because going down the wrong way on that main straightaway, as I always like to say, but last year it was dramatic, to say the very least. What are your expectations from the new tire model as we head back to the Brickyard?
Yeah, hopefully this year's race goes a bit different than last year. I think I normally have some decent pace there. Not amazing, but some decent pace. So yeah, definitely looking to hopefully, get another podium and just keep getting the top 5s, and yeah, hopefully, that's what I need to win a championship. So.
Thanks for joining us here today, Adam. Good luck for the rest then of the month of June, and we'll look forward to seeing you from the virtual Speedway Indiana.
Yep, thanks.
So Adam Blocker once more into the HyperX victory lane. He was victorious in the season opener and only the second drive with multiple wins on the season so far. Let's bring in then second place in the championship and second place out on track right now. It was a good day for Connor Harrington, 3 positions gained, and he's standing by with Justin Prince.
Yes, indeed. First things first, Connor, talk us through the closing stages as you started to rail on in Adam Blocker as he was smart in traffic.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I spent like 80 laps behind Damon, just losing a ton of time. I don't know how you're not able to stay with somebody when there's only one car in front of you. So I just couldn't make the pass on Damon to get by him, and I had to wait to the pit stop cycle. The first green flag stop we had, I was real close, and then I was running Adam down, and he was having issues with lap traffic, and so it would have been interesting to see if we would have got there. But a great day for our private label team hype, Ethica, Delara IR18. Can't ever be too upset with second, but I really liked our race pace. I think we definitely would have had something for Adam. It just didn't work out. We just didn't have the best qualifying effort tonight.
How difficult is it to qualify here at this track? Because it was seen by a couple drivers in particular where they washed up and hit the safer barriers or missed the bottom in turns 1 and 2 by about a half a lane in some cases. How difficult is it to qualify here?
Yeah, I don't know. The tire model is it's still really funky, especially on the short oval. The short oval package is fun to drive in the race trim, but trying to extract every ounce of performance out of the tire is tough. It's almost like a roll of the dice, I feel like. So to get a 5th place start was okay. We definitely had the pace to nab pole, but you never know how those things will work out. So we'll take our 2nd place and we'll move on. Especially considering we've already had to use up a drop week last week. So yeah, I mean we're happy. It's just we know it could have been better.
Now to the Brickyard we go, and it's the Indy GP first, then the big race. Your approach for the next couple of rounds, especially knowing you've got a road course and then a Triple Crown race coming up.
Well, yeah, I mean we're the defending champion at the Indy GP race. Hard to say whether or not we will really do well. Sage has been just head and shoulders above everybody on the roadside, so I expect him to go in there and probably make us all look a little bit silly. But I've been close with Blocker and some of the other road stuff. You never know. I mean, a lot of crazy things can happen. That's how we won the race there last year. And obviously, I'm just coming off my first Indy 500. We like going to Indy. We like our chances. It's a great place, and we're excited for the month of June.
Thank you for the time, Connor.
Thanks, guys.
So that was Connor Harrington, second on the day for the private label Team Hype Machine. And at Championship Fighters, looking feisty, looking forward to seeing how it develops further over the course of this 22 race season. One final podium interview to get to, and it's Damon Martinez, third for the 3rd time in his Lionheart IndyCar career, and Justin Prince is standing by with Damon Martinez.
Damon, first things first, talk us through your race tonight as you're inside the top 3 just about the entire evening.
Yeah, it was pretty much a straightforward race. I kind of just kept putting in laps. All I really did was focus on hitting marks in every corner and just driving. I really had no strategy. I just kind of ran the tank out, stayed as close as I could behind Blocker, but I don't know what he was doing. That guy has something in his car that's better than mine. But yeah, it was a good race. Kinsella made a nice set, qualified well, which kind of surprised me. Of course, Blocker had to ruin it too. I would have had pole if it wasn't for that guy, but I've taken a pole from him before, so I'm not too mad about it.
How difficult is it to drive at this track? Because 2 different types of corners at the ends of the speedway, plus the arrows seem to be very important to be able to get clean air, it seemed. How difficult is it to drive here?
Definitely way harder than it looks. It seemed like, especially in turn 1, if you didn't hit a specific spot and like you're braking or like and you're turning, you were just losing time. So it was pretty technical, but I don't know. I thought it was a pretty fun race overall, besides just kind of just driving my own thing tonight. Basically, just did 160 laps by myself the whole race. First caution there, though, like, man, Morgan lost so much. He was just in front of me, and I was like, all right, it's going to be between me and him for P3, and then he just lost 20 spots on the caution. It felt bad.
An intriguing race overall, and now the approach goes towards the Brickyard. What's kind of your approach, especially with you running a part-time schedule this season to try and carry momentum forward this season?
My strategy is just going to try to learn what Sage is doing and learn from him. That's one of the benefits of being his only teammate, is he'll teach me a little bit of his tricks, and he knows how to like get the most out of the car, so I just try to follow him and then emulate his driving style, and it's helped me grow a lot in my my road side of my driving. Sage carries me kind of.
Thank you for the time.
All right, real quick, I want to thank Rich Mar Flores for sponsoring me. Thanks, shout out to that guy.
So Damon Martinez, his third podium finish in his Lionheart career, and I'm sure hoping for the fortune that will get him, if not a second place, at the very most, I should say, excuse me, a victory in this competition. Justin, we are done with our first race in the month of June, but we are just getting underway. Connor Harrington, he said he's the defending champion at the Indy GP. I could tell there's some hesitancy to talk about the confidence there because Sage Karam has been dominant on the road courses so far. It'll be interesting in 2 weeks' time to see how that race develops.
It's going to be very interesting because it's a very difficult road course, in my opinion, because you have a lot of hard braking zones and you carry a lot of speed down that front stretch. It's going to be where the drivers were able to utilize the most pace out of the track while making sure they don't burn up their tires are the ones to come out on top. It's going to be an intriguing race overall. It's just a matter of how things play out is going to be the biggest question mark.
And reaching the halfway point of this championship as well, Justin. 22 rounds it runs from the start of March to the start of December as well. And I mean, what a schedule we have. I'm looking at July and August right now. Milwaukee, Silverstone, Texas, Phillip Island. What 4 races you have there over the course of the summer, and then you head into the championship swing of things. And I said this in the past, in the prior 6 rounds of this championship. With those final couple of rounds, you have the likes of Mosport there on October the 6th. The penultimate couple of rounds, Road America and Belle Isle, those are road courses that are going to be very curious to watch, all building up to the final Triple Crown race at Auto Club Speedway.
And those road course skills, as a result, are going to be very critical to be able to get good finishes. And that's why runs such as Blancers tonight could be critical. You never know what could happen on some of these road courses. And as long as you score valuable points, it puts you in a great position for those closing stages of the season.
It is time to wrap things up here then on RaceSpot TV. What a round in the Lionheart IndyCar Series, the Asher Racing Channel 200, presented by SimSnap Photography. Really had it all. Just one caution on the day as we set history, not just with that incredible green flag run, but Pole finally took victory here at the Worldwide Technology Raceway. Before we say goodbye, some thank yous to get to as well. And let's start with the title sponsor here in the Lionheart IndyCar Series. Butt Kicker. For sim racers, the Butt Kicker Gamer 2 or Simulation Kit adds the missing driver-to-car connection, bringing more realism to your sessions. By accurately responding to in-game audio, you can feel the track like never before, providing increased vehicle handling and faster lap times. Are you ready for the most immersive experience in sim racing? Well, for more information, visit thebuttkicker.com and don't forget to use the promo code LION2021, that's LION 2021, for 20% off all orders. The Lionheart Racing Series is powered by HyperX, makers of premier gaming gear like the legendary ultra-comfortable Cloud line of gaming headsets. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows we're all gamers. For more information on HyperX products, visit hyperxgaming.com and don't forget to use the promo code Lionheart15, that's LIONHRT15, for 15% off all orders.
The SimExperience AccuForce Pro V2 is the premier professional simulation racing steering system. The key to its incredible realism is the groundbreaking direct drive motor control system, providing a driving experience that's second only to the real thing. For more information on the entire SimExperience ecosystem, visit simexperience.com.
Minus 273 is the premier name in karting gloves. Their industry-leading gloves are super lightweight and durable, made of a breathable poly spandex. Whether you're a kart or a sim racer, Minus 273 gives you the control to reach victory lane. For more information on Minus 273's full line of gloves and apparel, visit minus273.biz and don't forget to use the promo code Minus273LHRS15 for 15% off all orders.
Looking for entertaining sim racing content? Look no further than the DMLC Racing Channel. Follow former Lionheart Retro Series Driver of the Year Mark Cohn's racing escapades as he battles for wins and avoids wrecks with cat-like reflexes, all while providing commentary sure to make you laugh, cry, or both. Follow along by subscribing to the DMLC Racing channel on YouTube and like his Facebook page at the DMLC Racing channel.
And to learn more, not just about the Lionheart IndyCar series, but all of the competitions put on by the Lionheart sanctioning body and all the names you see up on your screen that make this series happen, visit LionheartRacingSeries.com, and you can also join the series Discord to stay involved with all 3 of the competitions. We will be back then from Speedway, Indiana in a couple of weeks' time. I cannot wait for that, but plenty more action here live on RaceBot TV in the Lionheart series. You can follow Lionheart series across Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for all your Lionheart coverage, while ESTV has you covered for your esports action. If you're not subscribed to RaceBot TV already, well, hit that red button and the bell next to it to get notified every single time with the great sim racing series that we get to cover. We will be back in action tomorrow from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course as the Lionheart Retro Series returns with the Lotus 79. For now, though, it's Adam Blocker in HyperX Victory Lane as we kick off the month of June and a trip to Speedway, Indiana. 2 weeks from today, the Indy GP, and then on June 27th, the HyperX Indy 500. You can catch all the action here live on RaceBot TV, and on behalf of the team, for Justin Print, for all of our team back in the production booth making this happen, my name is Arjuna Kankipati, and we'll see you for continued Lionheart coverage.